Hi everyone, welcome back to Cottoverdi. Today I'm planting my Amaryllis bulbs. Now this is a very delayed video because I haven't had the opportunity to do it yet. For my regular followers, I'm sorry about my absence and because how quiet it's been on my channel. For any new followers or people who are watching me for the first time, welcome to my English cottage garden here in the UK. We live in South Buckinghamshire, in the beautiful Chiltern Hills. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very lucky because we live in a walled garden, a very old walled garden. And I have not been around very much recently because my mum has not been very well and I have been to visit her. She lives in the south of France, so I've not been able to be in the garden. All sorts of stuff has happened and I'm very overwhelmed with the state of the garden at the moment. It's the end of November and I still have dahlias in the ground. And when we landed back in the UK last week, it snowed. It literally snowed the next morning. We landed on Monday night and on Tuesday morning I woke up to snow. It has been freezing cold and we have had Storm Bert. I think he was called Bert, but Storm Bert blew a gale all weekend and we had torrential downpours, so we couldn't even get out into the garden this weekend. So I'm very behind and I'm trying not to let it overwhelm me. And I've got loads to do. But the first thing that I really want to do is get my Amaryllis bulbs planted today because they can take up to 8 weeks, maybe a bit more sometimes, to flower. And obviously I'm not going to get those in time for Christmas now because it is the end of November, as I said. But I will have some gorgeous blooms in January. What I'm doing out in the garden though is I am grabbing some sticks because Amaryllis bulbs, if you don't know, need a lot of staking. They're very top heavy. They basically have a very long tall trunk, which is quite thick but also hollow. It's very hollow, so it's not particularly stable, and then they have these very big flowery heads on the top, and if you have a lot of flowers blooming at the same time they can get very top heavy and just sort of go like that and topple over. So I am going to prop mine up with some trimmings from the garden. Now I'm taking my trimmings today from a flowering currant that I plan to dig out this year. Richard does not want to dig it out. For new subscribers or followers, Richard is my husband. He wants to keep it there, but I don't think it's very attractive. I'm not enamoured with the floral display, and they seem to, this particular one loses its leaves really quickly in the autumn, so we don't even get that gorgeous autumn glow that I would want. Also, it's huge where I planted it, which is why I think in fact Richard wants it there, but I would rather have something that contributed more to the garden. And the other problem that I'm having with the flowering currant is that in the spring when the new leaves start opening up, it gets attacked by black fly and aphids every year, so I'm having to spray it and wash them off, and it is just a bit of a bind. So I'm saying goodbye to the flowering currant, so I don't mind. Basically, the whole reason for that spiel is because I don't mind. I'm cutting it at this time of year and losing some of those flowers because I don't plan to keep it. For anyone new to my channel, I just want to say that a couple of years ago, I think in 2022, I did make an in-depth video about how to pot up Amaryllis bulbs and all the important points about them and when they should bloom for you. So if you would like to take a look at that video rather than just follow along with this vlog, then I will put a link to it in the description below. So if you need more information, then do take a look at that video because I really did go into it in quite thorough detail. Anyway, let's go in and pot up the Amaryllis bulbs now. The bulbs I've chosen this year are called Amadeus Candy, and they are gorgeous sort of whitey cream, more white than cream, flowers with a lovely, very pale pink edge to them. I'll put a picture up on the screen. I have got 3 of them and I'm going to put them all in the same pot this year. I'm really hoping they're going to fit in this pot. If they're not, I'm going to have to run outside and find another one, but I really want them to fit in here. So I'm putting them in this pot. Now, the good thing about Amaryllis is that they really don't want to be in a very roomy pot. We need to leave maximum of about an inch around the outside of the bulb, so you can pack them in really tightly. I'm actually, for the first time, using a pot that doesn't have any drainage on the bottom, so there are no holes. I am doing that because this is the pot that I want to use, and because I use it indoors, I don't want to put drainage holes in it. So I'm going to take a risk and hope that I don't overwater them. Another great thing about Amaryllis bulbs is that they don't require a lot of water. So what I've done with my bulbs, you can see them over there, I have sat them in a baking dish for 24 hours. So I put them in there about this time yesterday, well actually yesterday morning, they've been in there a little bit longer, and I've just put the roots in the water as best I can to rehydrate them, and I have heard that this is really good. I think it was Danielle from North Lawn Flower Farm who said that by doing this they will flower a little bit early, and because I'm now late and I want my flowers sooner because I'm impatient, I've done this process. You don't need to do that, so if you can't be bothered to let them soak, just the roots soak for a day, then don't bother doing it. But that's what I've done this year. It's the first time I've done that. So they've been soaking. I'm using ordinary multi-purpose peat-free compost. It's the one that I always use, and I'm not adding anything to it. So I'm not adding perlite or anything, and I'm also not putting any drainage at the bottom of this pot. So because it doesn't have any holes in it, if I were to put drainage in it and I was to overwater them by mistake, all that would do would be to raise that wet soil even higher. So I'm not going to be putting any drainage in, I'm just going to put the compost in. I'm sure that a lot of people have a lot of thoughts of what I'm doing, but this is what I'm doing. I'm not a perfect gardener. This is what I'm doing this year. I can see you, Cosmo. He's not allowed up on the side. Cosmo, get down. Down you get. Yes, you know you're not allowed up there. Come on, off you get. No cats are allowed on our kitchen counters. So I've got my twigs, and then the other thing I've got is moss. So I use the moss and this is just rehydrated moss, but it comes like this as a really solid block. There's no way that it would be possible to break that up without soaking it. So you drench it in water. I've then squeezed the water out of the moss because I actually don't want it to be wet. I want it to be dry. I find that if it's really wet, that it's prone to getting like fungus gnats and things like that. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's more likely you'll get fungus gnats. So this has been drying for a few days and it's just light and fluffy. I think it is possible to buy it when it's not like that, but I really, really like this particular moss. I think it's a really nice green colour, isn't it? Like it's a proper mossy colour. And a lot of them, when they come, they're a bit brown maybe, and have lots of twigs and stuff in, but it really is just moss. I think it's great quality. So that's why I go to the trouble of soaking it. So let's get on and pot these up. So they really are just the roots. I mean, that one's been sitting in water a little bit more. In fact, you can see where the water came up to about halfway, but because these roots are a bit stiffer, it's just the roots that have been rehydrating in the water. So I've put a couple of inches of soil in the bottom of my pot. I'm not going to fill it the whole way up because I think that these bulbs are too big. I'm going to have to try it, but I think the bulbs are going to be too big for the top of this pot. I don't think I'm going to get 3 in there, so I think I'm going to have to sink them down because the bowl curves out a bit. So even though I'm only going to plant the Amaryllis bulb, put soil up 2/3 of the bulb and leave the top third uncovered, I'm going to sink them down into the pot simply because I want them all to fit in this pot. I don't know if they're going to. It could be wishful thinking. I kind of want each one to have its own space for the roots. I know they might fit. So I've kind of tried to spread the roots out so the roots aren't overlapping too much. And now I'm just going to fill it up with some more compost. So it's quite important when you're doing this to try not to get compost in the top of your bulbs. They won't be happy if they have water and compost in there. So the soil's about halfway up, and I'm just going to put a little bit more in. They are actually quite snug in here. They might not tip over at all this year. Just trying to raise this one up a little bit. So now I'm going to just try and put in some of these sticks. So well, that's not going to work, is it? Maybe these aren't bendy enough. I think what I might do is just create a framework around it. Cosmo, get down, down, down. Cosmo, get down. He's so naughty. Kittens. Here, do you want this to play with? Come on, off you get. Off. What I would like to do is I think I'm going to get some twine. Cosmo! No! No! So I have only put compost up 2/3 of the bulbs. There's still a third of the bulb showing plus all the stalk. Try not to get soil in there like I have, because that just adds to problems. They might rot. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to cover all of this with moss because I think it looks really nice. I always cover my Amaryllis bulbs, the soil anyway, with moss, and you can put the moss up as high as you like. That doesn't matter. Try not to pack it in too thickly, but the moss isn't going to cause the same sort of problems that perhaps the compost would, because it's obviously lots of air can get in because it's fluffy. And that's the other reason why I squeeze and dry the moss once I've rehydrated it, because I think that way you stand less chance of it rotting. And I kind of do like a little sort of messy, fluffy look. I don't mind if it's hanging over the edges. and that's kind of what I do. Now, the only problem with putting moss on is that when I'm watering, I'm going to have to be really careful to lift up the moss and touch the soil to check first whether they need water, because I definitely don't want to overwater in this pot. So don't forget to give them a little water in. Even if you have soaked them for 24 hours, they still need a little bit of water, but I think this is looking really cute. I'm hoping this structure is quite solid, and should any of my Amaryllis decide they want to topple over, they're not going to. But that's it for today. I really hope you've had fun with me as I potted up my Amaryllis. They are still, in fact, there are some really good bargains at the moment. You've definitely got time, and it doesn't matter if they flower after Christmas or New Year, because you're going to have some gorgeous flowers in the spring when I feel like we really need some. So I am tempted to go and get some more. Watch this space. But yeah, I think it's going to look really cute. I really like it. If you'd like to see more videos like this, then do subscribe to my channel. I appreciate every person who subscribes and watches my videos. It really does mean the world to me. And I hope that I'm bringing you some fun and enjoyable content. I really do love gardening, and I just want to spread the joy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.